show you guys a little bit about Storm Legion. Before I get started, are you all familiar with Rift? Have you seen Rift before at all? Okay, cool. Then I can kind of bypass all of the other stuff that we've done over the past 2 years and get right into the good stuff. So what we're going to start with today actually is I'm going to do the demo a little bit out of order than we normally do, because luckily our big encounter Volan is wanting to behave himself right now. So as you're well aware, Gamescom is a pretty busy convention, so we've had a couple of latency issues earlier today. So Alice, why don't you go ahead and get Volan started for us? So Rift Storm Legion is Rift's first expansion pack. It's about 2 years in development now. We're expanding the game quite dramatically. As you can see here, we have all sorts of new encounters and events that go on, like the Volan event and encounter. We've taken the content that our players know and love from the live game, the things that Rift does better than anybody else, their zone events, their dynamic content, and we've pumped it up to 11. So Volan is an example of this. He is a massive encounter, the massive world encounter for players to interact with and play with. This isn't an instance. This isn't pre-scripted insofar as it's a demo, so yes, it's scripted, but in the actual live game, this is just going to happen around the world. Yep, and he's going to smash armies. There's actually achievements if you get crushed by him. It's really quite cool. And players are going to get an opportunity to play through these massive, massive battles and these encounters that other games tend to reserve for things like raids, etc. So, one of the awesome things about Volan and Volan's encounter is not only is he a huge monster, but he's also got a lot of different things that he can do. So Alice here is kind of running around the zone. She's actually going to go up and go for one of the jump pads, I think. So for example, she can use that to leap across to other areas to avoid Volan's attacks. As you can see, if she selects different body parts off of Volan, she can attack different things and destroy parts of the monster, which changes the behavior. So instead of fighting the giant big toe of the giant, you're actually fighting from different angles with different strategies based on who you are. And the things that you do will change the way Volan reacts. Why don't we try and run ahead of him here, because I think he's going to move on. So he's going to put there real quick. So as you can see, Volan interacts with the environment around him. Based off of what the player does, he's going to do different things, try to destroy different areas, and the event's going to change a little bit each time. Just like all of our other dynamic encounters, he will fight and interact with the rest of the environment. He will fight other NPCs and destroy them, as well as the players as well. The other really nice thing about these large encounters like Volan is these changes to the world actually open up new content. So instead of just killing Volan is one thing, right? You'll get your rewards and everything else. But as the encounter progresses, he's going to break through to new areas of the zone. And when he breaks through to those new areas become accessible to players. There's a lot of new content hidden behind there. There's new things to do, new quests, new crafting, and new achievements. Now, like I said, I'm doing this a little bit out of order because we got Volan to work and he's really cool and I wanted to show you guys this. Normally we end with him, but this time we started just because he's that cool, I had him working, I wanted to give you a quick show. So what I'm going to do is ask Alice to go back to the beginning of the demonstration so we can show you a couple of other pieces about what the expansion is all about. Like I said, this is a new, huge expansion for us. We are expanding the game in every way possible. We've done a lot of live updates over the past 2 years. We've added a ton of new features. We're fully integrating those new features, things like instant adventure, into the expansion experience. Alice, if you will open the map real quick for us, we can kind of give everybody a look at the world. So as you can see here, Mythosia up here in the top left was our original expansion, our original launch content. We did add Ember Isle, which is a huge level 50 zone after we launched. And down here are the 2 new continents we've added with the expansion. We have easily tripled the total size of our world with this expansion. There is a ton of new content for people to experience. Vervain and Duskin both have very unique visual styles. If we exit out of this map, you can see we're in a dungeon called the Imperium Core, which is a dungeon in Vervain. The whole storyline of the expansion is Crucia, the Dragon of Air, has broken out of her prison on Mythosia, and she's retreated back to these other continents. Players are going to travel to Vervain and find basically the ancient cradle of civilization, a very advanced, fallen civilization. They were the ones that brought the dragons, the Bloodstorm, to Talara. So you get a chance to play through the history and get to see how the dragons came to Talara, how Crucia has been manipulating things behind the scenes the entire time, and how she is quite a big evil. She's so much more than just the other dragons you've defeated so far. In addition to expanding the game world and the zones, and like I said, the big events like Volan, we are expanding other aspects of the game as well. We're adding 10 new levels to the game, so we're going from level 50 to level 60. With that, if we open up the soul tree, you'll see that we've added a ton of new things for players to get. The soul trees have been expanded by 3 new tiers. Every soul has a variety of new abilities and talents available to them as well. We've taken a lot of time and gone through our player feedback and done adjustments to the existing souls, so even the pre-50 content will be changing and being adjusted. We've done a lot of updates, really taking some of the souls that were less desirable, some of the class combinations that didn't work as well, and kind of refreshed those and made them more interesting, more evocative, and more appealing to players. The other super exciting thing that we're doing here is we're adding 4 new souls to the game, 1 for each of the callings. Today at Gamescom we're showing our Harbinger. So the Harbinger is a new mage soul. The Harbinger brings something new to the table for mages. With each of our new souls, we want to allow players to experience the game like they didn't before. We wanted to think outside of the box for the traditional playstyle and give them something new and unique. So in the case of the Harbinger, mages tend to throw fireballs from range, right? Your stereotypical, I'm a wizard with my wizard staff and I throw fireballs. The Harbinger kind of flips that on his head. He uses his planar magic to actually transform or polymorph his more mundane magical items into these powerful magical artifacts, these Vervain artifacts, these magical weapons that give him capabilities similar to your more traditional rogue or warrior fighter class. So he fights from close combat, so he can choose to do things like pull from range, charge in, and kind of mix it up. This gives the mage a much more versatile option. It gives them a little bit more survivability. It gives them the ability to do things they hadn't been able to do before. In addition to that, it gave us the opportunity to do some very unique things. We wanted to take your traditional ranged caster and make him work with a melee class. So the Harbinger has things that synergize really well. He has special follow-ups and abilities that will make longer cast spells from other souls insta-cast. So it allows you to drop a rather big bomb, so to speak, at just the right moments. We've given him a lot of good mobility as well, so he can blink in and out of combat, so he can bounce out to range, throw a couple fireballs, charge back in again. It really has added a new level of gameplay to the mage. Now we'll be talking more about the other 3 souls over the next couple months as we reveal them, but like I said before, the things that we're trying to do with Storm Legion is give players options that they didn't have before, shore up weaknesses in each of the callings, make sure combinations are really good and strong, and that players kind of have a new, unique, interesting option that they didn't have before. That way they don't necessarily have to re-roll a character just to get a different, slightly different gameplay experience. Now, the final thing I'm going to show you today is actually some of our new dimension content. So one of the things RIFT was a little bit light on when we launched the game was role-playing content. We've done a lot to remedy that over the past 2 years. We started out by adding weddings. So you may or may not be aware that we do hold the world record for the most number of online weddings at a given time. Pretty impressive. But we've used that as a starting point for what we're now doing, what we're now calling dimensions. Dimensions are similar in a lot of ways to housing in other games. but they are so much more than that. Instead of giving you a plot of a land and saying, hey, I'm going to buy a duplex or a townhome or a McMansion and putting it up there, we actually took areas of the world. We said, the things that our players are interested in are the really cool looking areas in our world. It would be the equivalent of going, you know, I really like the Eiffel Tower. I would like to own that area, right? So I could have my own Eiffel Tower and I could decorate it with Christmas lights if I so desire. And so we basically set that up in such a way that players can buy specific locations in the world. It becomes their own instance, their own dimension that they can customize however they want. So they can do simple things like changing the set deck. They can put in new tables, new chairs, more traditional objects. They can rotate, scale, move them, and place them however they want. In addition to that, they can do a lot more than just kind of your traditional, hey, I have a couple books and a table, I'm going to make a nice little scene here. But they can actually build complete new structures. So for example, Alice threw together this treehouse that she has over in the corner here. This is all created from dimension objects. Nothing existed before. That tree wasn't there. She built out of wooden blocks and planks and various building blocks that we give players. She built this treehouse. This is a very simple example of some of the things that players can do with dimensions. They have all the tools at their disposal to make whatever they want.